because he just drove in while they came in. But for security purposes, we have that footage, and that's all we have right now. And as you can hear, they're asking for 100 million naira, to release the kidnapped victims. It is indeed heartbreaking. January, the new year, I can imagine what families are going through. All right, let's move on now to This Day newspaper this morning. This day says, Rivers, 2 assembly members pull out of impeachment plot. South-South leaders inaugurate reconciliation committee. Army raises concern over misappropriation of COA's remarks in Rivers. Army raises concern over misappropriation of COA's remarks in Rivers. So on this day, NRS leadership, KPMG officials meet, resolve differences over new tax laws. WEF reports identifies AI as biggest force to shape cybersecurity in 2026. Let me take that again. WEF report identifies AI as biggest force to shape cybersecurity in 2026. Above the mass, Tamborwal fuel subsidy removal, flawed polls to blame for Nigeria's economic woes. Chimamanda Agbakoba 6 probe as public awaits appointment of coroner by Lagos. Chimamanda Agbakoba 6 probe as public awaits appointment of coroner by Lagos. Okay. Our prayers are with Chimamanda Adichie and our family this period. All right, we have more papers. Let us take a look at the Leadership newspaper this morning. The Leadership newspaper says, death of Chimamanda's son, lawyers back Agbakoba's call for health regulation overhaul. Page 4. Fubara Odu served with notices of allegations, a Rivers Assembly spokesman. Police probe death of 6 family members in Rivers. U.S. revokes over 100,000 visas, including thousands of student permits. Page 7. I will clear pending pensions, gratuities this month, Governor Alia. Sanwo-Olu, Obasanjo mourn as Oba of Badagry dies at 89. Sanwo-Olu, Obasanjo mourn as Oba of Badagry dies at 89. Tight security at Kano Government House amid rumors of Governor Yusuf's imminent defection. Senator Oluremi Tinubu is Person of the Year 2025. All right, let's move on now to our next paper, which is the Daily Trust. Let's take a look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper says, Katsina, fresh attacks amid bandits' release plan. Katsina, fresh attacks amid bandits' release plan. The faction rumor, police deploy security at Kano Government House. Generator fumes kill 6 family members in Rivers. REA budgets 8.75 billion naira for projects in MD Power Minister states. 2027 Tamborwal welcomes foreign intervention for credible polls. FCT yet to spend 73% of 2026 budget on Maitama. Soldiers deployment for eternal security weakening police, Borotai. Soldiers deployment for internal security weakening police, says Borotai. All right, let's move on to the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor newspaper this morning. Obi questions Tinubu's whereabouts, asks where's our president. Says silence in the face of crisis is the loudest form of failure. warns that sustained silence from leadership weakens national unity and trust. Above the mass, Rivers lawmakers seek leniency in Fubara's impeachment. Still on the Daily Monitor, bandits demand 500 million naira from an abducted Kaduna. That's all we have here. APC direct coordinators to register all members of face removal. NARD to review strike suspension in 2 weeks, says poor remuneration, weak health policies had led to a relocation of many medical doctors from Nigeria. Edo doctors commence strike over abduction of colleague. All right, we have the Daily Sun next. The Daily Sun this morning. Federal government to spend 11.5 billion naira on pilgrimage. Earmarks 4.6 billion naira on nuclear energy, climate change, 2.3 trillion naira for agriculture, technology ministries. This is our focus this morning. We want to talk about it. I saw this headline and it was a tug in my heart. Federal government to spend 11.5 billion on pilgrimage. We want to talk about this morning. Please stay with us as we discuss this issue. Again, not to forget that 4.6 billion was given to nuclear energy and climate change. If you're in this country last year and some other years past, we've seen the devastation that climate change has done to the nation. The dams are weak. And of course, the flooding that we experience all over the nation, one would expect that more will be given into climate change and, of course, a look into nuclear energy. Unfortunately, pilgrimages are getting 11.5 billion, while climate change and nuclear energy gets just 4.6 billion. We want to take a look at this morning. Please be our guest once the show. The phone lines are open so you can call in and have your say as a Nigerian. Still on the Daily Sun, Andrew Oru Chukwuemeka Agbasi praises the Sun Awards. Right, Nigeria run by press statements while Tinubu governs from foreign hotels, says Peter Obi. That's on the Daily Sun. Owaneze condoles with Chimamanda over son's death. NARD to review strike suspension in 2 weeks. Osun Civil Society Group accused APC officials, police of illegal occupation of local government secretariats. Tinubu, Sanwo-Olu, others mourn Akran of Badagry. All right, let's take a look at the Matrix. The Matrix newspaper is up next. The Matrix says Tinubu spent 196 days abroad in 2025. Obi. Ex-LP's presidential candidate slams Tinubu's absence amid national crisis, says you cannot run Nigeria like personal business or private club. Atiku condemns arrests, warns Nigeria drifting from democracy. Customs rolls out new SOP for courier firms under DDP regime. Outrage trails death of Chimamanda Adichie's twin son at Lagos private hospital. Writer threatens legal action against Eurocare over medical negligence. Agbakoba, Chimamanda's son's death must not be in vain. PDP is intact, no faction exists, Umar Sani. Tension, tight security at Kano Government House over Governor Yusuf's rumored defection. Afrima 2026, Rema leads list of winners in Lagos. Impeachment, Pandef wades in, moves to reconcile Wike Fubara. FA Cup, Arsenal, Chelsea to play Wigan Hall in 4th round. All right, the Nigerian Tribune is next. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune, we have like 4 more papers to go. The Nigerian Tribune, Rivers crisis, Pandef moves from reconciliation to lawmakers plead for leniency. Kanu Agabi-led committee gets 14 days to end rift. Ocean Civil Society groups accuse APC officials, police of occupation of local government secretariat. E-registration, governors, coordinators have no power to deny willing members, APC chairman. All right, let's move on to The Nation. The Nation newspaper this morning. Nigeria, UAE seal deal on trade agric manufacturing. Federal government proposes 1.38 trillion naira for pensions this year. Lawmakers Pandev initiate Fubara Assembly Pali. Umahi, Lagos-Sokoto Highway to unlock business in 6 states. The blueprint is up next. Let's take a look at the blueprint. APCE membership drive, no governor chairman can stop willing members, Yuwel Dar. Once coordinators, 2 million Nigerians register in 1 week. Security beefed up in Kano ahead of Governor Yusuf's defection. JAMB others UNN, others to reverse irregular admissions. That's on education. Kano government trains empowers 2,600 in various skills, target 50,000 youth. And the last paper this morning, Business Day. Let's take a look at Business Day. Business Day newspaper says Nigeria breaks 12-year tomato scarcity jinx. Efforts to boost production starting to pay off. That is on Business Day, which is business news. And also we have the Nest Oil story on the front page of the Business Day. Mama Bank upgrades Alert Banking app. All right, that's all we can take on our newspaper front page this morning. If you just joined us, we'll take a short break to return with our guest on the show. Before I came on, I had one of the guests already here, hoping that the other one is also here. So stay with us, we'll be right back. Yes, welcome back. It is the Press Tuesday's edition, and I'm glad to let you know that I have a full house. Yes, you can see my smile from here to here. It's a full house. We have cross-discussion and opinions just flying up in the air. And once the phone lines are open, I want you to please call in and be part of the conversation. I did tell you that today we shall be taking a look at the state of the nation. Federal government to spend 11.5 billion naira on pilgrimage, 4.6 billion on nuclear energy, climate matters. It's important for us to understand this. Even before I came right here on set, you know, I got a lot of calls, and this was one of the topics, in fact, the most picked for us to discuss, and this morning we shall be doing that. But first, let me begin with my analysis. Now, in the 2026 budget, the federal government put faith firmly above nuclear energy and climate concerns, despite global environmental pressures intensifying and energy security becoming highly vital. 11.5 billion naira has been earmarked to power Nigeria's two major pilgrimage agencies, while just 4.6 billion naira has been budgeted for nuclear energy and climate matters. Budget documents show that the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria and the Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission will receive handsome allocations to manage pilgrimages to Mecca and Jerusalem, a move that highlights the government's resolve to smooth the spiritual journeys of thousands of Nigerians. The 11.5 billion naira covers from international logistics and accommodation to staff welfare and infrastructure upgrades. It accentuates how costly it has become to run pilgrimages. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has a larger portion of the fund, being 5,995,815,467 naira for the 2026 fiscal year. A breakdown shows that a chunk of NIGCOMSAT spending lies in its Hajj support program, which alone gulps 3.5 billion naira. The program is designed to handle the core logistics of the pilgrimage, including coordination with Saudi authorities, accommodation, transportation, and welfare of pilgrims. Not far behind is the Nigeria Christian Pilgrims Commission, which secured a total allocation of 5,571,400,737 naira for 2026. Just like its Muslim counterpart, the NCPC has dedicated 3.5 billion naira to its core Christian pilgrimage program, covering travel, logistics, and coordination for pilgrims heading to Jerusalem and other holy cities. And it is my analysis this morning. If you just joined us, let me now do the introduction of my guest. Two faces, they become friends to the house. You know them once you see them. Ismaila Babatunde, who is a public affairs analyst. Ismaila, it's so nice to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you, Anire, for having me.
Thank you. And of course, Abdulazeez Idris, who is a social affairs analyst. He is right here this morning, looking all Niger Delta-ish. It's so nice to have you, Abdul.
Good morning.
Yes, so we're taking a look at a very sensitive issue.
Yeah.
It is sensitive, but it has become our story. It has become our history, right from Nigeria's colonial history, and of course, post-independence, we are faced with religion and politics coming together, being intertwined. The Nigerian society is not the only society that has religion and politics intertwined, but you can actually use Nigeria as a case study for situations like this. A lot of Nigerians are not happy that in the face of climate change, we will get let me get my statistics right, 11.5 billion earmarked to religious matters instead of climate resilience programs. Again, if we are awaiting the rainy season last year, which is just a few months back, we also the devastating effect of flooding which you can actually attribute to climate problems, one would expect that we'll have more earmarked for climate situation and not religious situation. So I'm going to start with you, Abdul. I always love to ask these questions because your reactions, the reaction of the guests is what we want to ride on the show. And oftentimes I ask, when you see stories like this on the front page of our papers, or you get statistics like this, what is your reaction to this unfolding situation, religion getting more than climate resilience?
Yeah, good morning once again, viewers on the KAFTAN TV. Everything has its own purpose, and whatever we do, either individually, collectively, or at least at the government level, there must be a reason for it. Pilgrimage does not start today, and it might not end today. If I could remember, like Muslim pilgrimage started since the First Republic, whereby pilgrims were uplifted from various efforts that we have. Then I think we only have Kano and Lagos, later expanded to other various states that can lift their pilgrims. Now come later Christian pilgrimage also, people going to Jerusalem. So federal government, in its effort to balance the equation, that's why every year they used to allocate money, say it's for pilgrimage. You understand? So pilgrimage is religious, is sacred, let's put it that way. But why is it that every year federal government make this type of robust allocation? I could remember some years back there was a dispute over about 9 billion or so that was allocated to these pilgrims. But always we too, you wish to ask questions, because if you look at the cost of the pilgrimage this year, for Muslim pilgrimage, they're paying just a little fraction towards 8 million. A little fraction, because it's 7.7 plus, depending on the geographical location. And yet, federal government will now allocate 5.something billion for Muslim pilgrimage. So you keep asking the question, what are this money meant for? Yes, they say accommodation, transportation, and others, you understand? But in reality, if you paid 7 million, if you look at the cost of air ticketing to and fro, when you look at the budgeted money that you are paying for, you also paid for all this. You paid for your food, you paid for your logistics, you paid for your transportation and accommodation. But yet, federal government will also allocate money, telling you that they are subsidizing maybe 1 or 2 things for you. I think that's what they will only say. Look, I said, issues of religion is something that we cannot separate it from the African politics. Likewise, in Nigeria too, we might not be able to do it. It has already eaten deep into our politics and democracy. It hasn't started today, as I said. Anytime there's a move by any part, the other side also will move, say, okay, we need this, we want to do this. If somebody going to pilgrimage in Mecca or going to Jerusalem for pilgrimage, and that same person has paid for all these logistics and whatever, with the 7.something million or whatever the amount going to Jerusalem, and now federal government allocated money for you, why the cost becomes so much high like that? This is the question everybody asks. Just some years back, not far away, it's less than 1 million to go to Mecca. Now, this year is last year it's 8 million plus. This with the coming of this man, Professor Abdulazeez Pakistan, to the Hajj Commission, he tries everything possible to see that the price has dropped down to this level of 7.7. People are fighting him because every sector you go in Nigeria, not only in pilgrimage, there were cabals who are the ones benefiting from these allocations. Not necessarily the pilgrimage. They might benefit from it. I'm also, even this year, I'm intending pilgrimage. You understand? But the problem is, when this allocation was given to National Hajj Commission, given to states, pilgrims boards and whatever, where does this money go? This is a question we always ask every day. If we are to be taken entirely, like say the accommodation, you are not going to, it's not going to be
included
in the part of the payment
in the package that you're making.
It's reasonable.
Okay.
You go to Jerusalem, you have accommodation. Federal government has given you a place that you sleep.
Then you can monitor this huge amount of money and that.
Because yes, for example, I know the number of pilgrims going to Hajj every year from our own side is it's in thousands, largely very much thousands. I cannot recall last year how much, but I think even Nigeria was allocated somewhere around 10,000 or something like. And I think people also were able to subscribe to it. So likewise this year, I'm sure, people will do it. Now, let's look at why federal government do it. If not because of these cabals, it is good. It's going to at least show you that, yes, your country cares for you, even to the place that you're going to pray, because you wanted to pray for the country. Especially this year, or this within this decade, that Nigeria is grappling with a lot of insecurity challenges. If those prayers in Jerusalem and if those prayers in Mecca and Medina will solve Nigeria's problem as far as insecurity, it will be reasonable enough for me and you to agree. But I think I heard from so many clerics, they are talking that even Nigerian, with the prayer we pray in Nigeria here, did not solve the problem. These problems are either you go kinetic or non-kinetic. You understand?
Yes.
So that means prayer has no anything to do with
the solution.
So likewise, what I'm saying is, if we wanted to ask federal government, really, we need to find answers to these problems. However, this allocation of money,
where does it go to?
Where does it go?
Okay. Ismaila, you've had Abdulazeez open for us. I want your reaction on reading this early morning. This is not the first time that we've had situations like this. Religion surpassing climate.
It's very interesting, but especially in this time where we are having the issue of climate change, which borders more on the generality of the Nigerian populace, is more pressing for us to allocate more money to the climate issues rather than the faith-based. And I am not completely saying that we should completely eradicate the issue of the pilgrimage issues, but then I think the government should prioritize whatever they are doing. And maybe I may want to say probably maybe because we are now in the election cycle and Nigeria is deeply rooted in religion. So they want to show them how about the welfare, how they care about them. So the issue of the money, I think we really need to go down to the breakdown of this allocation of the money. What exactly is this money meant for? Because people going for pilgrimage, they normally pay the money. Is it that federal government is trying to sponsor individual to pilgrimage, or they are using it to take care of maybe diplomatic relations, or they are trying to strengthen one or two stuff within the cycle, or they use this fund to first of all take care of some basic things that they need to take care of so that the pilgrims will have a soft landing pending when they collect back the money from the individual that are going for this pilgrimage. Because for me, I want to believe that this MPC and the NCPC, yes, they are revenue
and NIGCOM
generating, maybe they are generating some form of revenue for the federal government. I just want to assume, because I'm yet to have that clarity, if they are actually generating some level of income to the federal government,
or not, because I'm taking a look at it from the angle of, for example, let's say one federal government revenue generating agency, let's say the FIRS, for example. Before they start going out to start collecting tax, federal government will first of all inject some money for them to do their logistics arrangement and all of that. Maybe that money is meant for such. But I don't know. But we are yet to know. That is why I want to really get. After this, I will go to the details. Let me go and find out what exactly this money is.
Now, the report says that the 11.5 billion naira covers international logistics and accommodation to staff welfare and infrastructure upgrades. It's
infrastructure upgrades.
Yes. So that's where it's confusing, because you have pointed out here that because it's logical. You gave us the logic of the fact that when you go for your Hajj, especially to Mecca, you make all the arrangements yourself. The package comes with accommodation, it comes with a ticket, it comes with your feeding. But if the 11.5 billion naira covers international logistics, if it covers accommodation to staff, which staff are we talking about? Is it the federal government staff, like you've questioned here? Probably that money is for individuals, not for people like you and I who want to like go personally. So probably there are a group of people that these monies will cater for. Abdul.
Yes, you see, yeah, I could remember. Definitely, there must be money for that work. If you go to Hajj, you definitely need that. These are people coming, you understand, from a country, a particular country called Nigeria, and Nigeria is among the countries respected in the world. I think at least many international countries know Nigeria as a country that is economically viable, even though we have our challenges internally. But majority of companies countries look at Nigeria as oil-producing country. So we are not expected to be among the list of poor nations. So when there are a lot of arrangements really that I know about pilgrimage, whereby number one, your country have to cater for your health. So health infrastructures, mobile vehicles that can accompany patients and those who fall down or who get injured. The nurses from Nigeria, not from Saudi. The medical doctors that they are going to take to Saudi. We're talking about thousands of people here, so definitely they have to get enough personnel, and they have to cater for these medical personnel and others. The drugs that they have to keep in case, you understand? I think they have hospitals, not apart from the mobile one. There's hospital meant for Nigerian pilgrimage in case there's a breakdown of element of sickness in some persons. Something like this can happen due to individual differences and backgrounds. Then, apart from that, I knew that the logistics they're talking, there were arrangements usually they used to do every year. They used to get these like Costa buses or Brazils that carry people from Mecca to Medina and other various places that people visit or go and pray.
So is the federal government that arranges that?
Yeah.
Or it's individuals?
In the package, as I'm speaking
Okay, the package, yes. You already pay everything from here before you get to Mecca.
What they said, you understand?
Yes.
According to the package. What I'm saying, what I'm looking at here, I think, yes, as he said, we need to get the breakdown from them. Every single kobo, Nigerians need to know where it goes. Not only you say, okay, infrastructure upgrade. Which infrastructure?
Which upgrade?
Is it the embassy there that you're upgrading? The health facility you're upgrading? Most of these vehicles are hired. The accommodations
paid for from
hired.
here, the package.
They are not for Nigeria. It's not built by Nigeria or whatever, but they are owned by some are owned by individuals who are either Arabs, some are even Nigerians. They went there and built mansions there, so that every year they will give it out for these pilgrims. And the money they collect is huge amount of money. You understand? So that's why I could remember I saw a lot of lack of push and push when this present chief executive of the National Hajj Commission, Professor Abdulazeez Pakistan, was trying to bring down the price. Some people didn't want. They were sending petitions and allegations against him. But we know the reason, because they're the one benefiting more and more. There were people that once this Hajj is done, they don't have, they'll just go to their houses and sleep because they have made the money to spend the whole year. They don't have to, you know, this is come easy, go easy.
Go easy.
They have already been, they have been on top of this money for decades. So for somebody just to come one day and say,
bring the price down.
Bring the price down, adjust this, adjust this, because I remember I saw the time when he was, his video, even in Saudi Arabia, trying to have meetings with those who provided this logistics, those who provide these accommodations and whatever. The price they were given, he is comparing them with other countries. It's unrealistic if you see the prices.
See the prices. If you just joined us, it is The Press, where we're taking a look at the topic State of the Nation. Federal government to spend 11.5 billion naira on pilgrimage, 4.6 billion on nuclear energy, climate change. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the phone lines are opened. Please do call in so you can have your voice heard. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. It is still The Press. I still have a full house as it is cause for the government spending 11.5 billion naira on pilgrimage while allotting just 4.6 billion naira on nuclear energy, climate matters. I have a climate man in the house. You know, what would have expected to see is a flip of 11.5 billion for climate matters and you know, a lesser amount going to pilgrimages in the nation. But of course it's not what we have here. We'll talk a little bit about the devastation of climate change in Nigeria. Last year, or was it 2003 or 2004, early 2004, when I was in Ondo, before I came to Abuja for the very first time in my life. If people watch me on TV, I've said this more than once, that was the very first time I actually saw the effect of climate change, really see it. You know, as a journalist, we report it, we you know, we talk about it. we speak about it as a topic, we bring guests to analyze issues, but to have a personal one-on-one effect and actually see the effect of climate change and the devastation it can actually bring. My first experience was when I was in Ondo. Then, of course, I came to Abuja and I've seen a lot. Last year, we all got the report, the flooding all over. We lost lots of lives in Abuja and, of course, environs and other parts of the nation. So one would expect that for 2026, it would be like a wake-up call. The federal government will earmark more money, put in more naira or dollars towards ensuring that what we saw in the past we do not experience again. But the case is different. As someone who is a guru on environment, environmental issues, I would want your take on this. Do you think we are over-prepared as Nigerians? Do you read the room? Do you read our body language of this government prepared to fight the problems that will come in terms of flooding and what have you, this year?
I think first, I would want to say that in honesty, the federal government is doing a bit more than the previous government has done, because now we have an act that established the National Council on Climate Change, so which is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring mitigation and resilience of Nigerians and the coordination of all of this. So now, one thing we also need to understand is climate change is very broad, and I think the Ministry of Environment, the power sector, the agricultural sector, all have a budget infused into they all have a budget that also take care of some percentage of climate change. So we can't have just one budget that knows this very one, just like we have at this nuclear one that they budgeted 4.something billion for nuclear energy to fight climate change. It's not, for me, that money is not enough, but then it's not the overall budget that is being channeled towards the issue of climate change. By the time we look at the agricultural sector and we look at their budget, we will also see some level of allocation that is being geared towards addressing the issue of climate change. We also have this presidential PCNGI that is focused on the transport sector. That is the converter and those in charge of bringing the CNG buses to low carbon emission. All of this, they also have their own money that is being budgeted for them to take care of, to see how we can reduce our carbon footprint in the transport sector and all of that. So we cannot entirely say this very amount is actually for only, that's the only money federal government budgeted. We have other sectors too that will have a bit of inflow of money that is being budgeted to actually address some of this issue. But when we now take on nuclear energy, when we want to now deal on nuclear energy squarely now, I will now say that that money is too small. Because now we should be able to go advance, use technology to address some of this issue. There's no harm for us if we can have the technology that will be deployed like a satellite that will help us to track our own climate change, track the regional and the state one, and see how we can address all of this. Even the issue of the flooding, the erosion, the drought that is happening in the far north and all of this. See, we need to recharge our lake chart. And a lot of things really needs to be said, because like I said, the issue of climate change is very, very broad. So if we cannot really touch on all of it at the same time, we are only going to just have a tip on some very few sectors among it. So we have the lake chart there. We need to do a recharge of the lake chart and see how we can budget a huge amount of money towards that recharge of the lake chart region, so that it will serve the people from that axis, and it will also reduce the influx of these farmers and herders and conflict, because the issue of climate change is also fueling it in a way. Because while I did my cycle advocacy towards the southwest region, I see a large number of influx of the herders moving from the north to the south, because the south have more green green forest.
Greenery.
Yes, it is more greenery than the north. The north is, when I travel to Taraba, you see large
expanse of
land, dry. You won't even see plants growing, and that is the essence why this untold migration is moving towards the south, following insecurity in the southwest now. Because if government did not prioritize this and see how they can address some of this issue, the insecurity would
definitely
it will be very difficult to fight, because as you are addressing one area, another area is also popping up. So it's also a challenge, a very big challenge. And one other thing in conclusion is that Nigeria, we must be patriotic. We must be patriotic. We must be deliberate and intentional about it. We must also be accountable and ensure we do a lot of transparency, check and balance, and we will also fine and sanction people where necessary and when found guilty of all of this.
All right. So, Abdul, you've heard Ismail give us, his take on the fact that the numbers are did not really balance in this situation. What we expected is to see 11.5 billion for nuclear energy and climate matters, and not the other way round. But of course, this is our reality, and that is why we're talking about it. The rains are coming very soon, and the question is, how prepared is the Nigerian government? How prepared is, apart from the national, the local, how prepared are states to, address the coming rains, to ensure that we do not lose lives, to ensure that flooding is checkmated, So one must ask questions when we see situations like this. I just want your take on these realities.
Yeah, that's right. Climate change is a global phenomenon that involves all countries. As you remember, I think last year, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, attended one summit about this climate change, and he presented Nigeria's own plight to the international communities and where they need to come in and help Nigeria. You see, climate change, as my colleague here has alluded, is very broad. The broadness of it is something that you have to look at it from all angles of your own understanding. When we are talking about especially the waterways we have in Nigeria, lakes, basins, rivers, and so on and so forth that we have throughout Nigeria, right from the Lake Chad, the Niger, riverines, the others from the west and others. You see, really, you find out that Nigerian federal government and state government are not doing enough. So don't be surprised when you see the budget keep shrinking instead of it to go up, but it keeps going down. Because sometimes they prioritized something that is not as important as issues like this ecosystem, ecological, and whatever, So they give it less attention. Don't forget, just last year, I think last year, or this is almost 2 years now, Alab Dam in Borno State broke down, if you can remember. And that breakdown of that dam was caused by this same climate change, because there were no room for, federal government, state government, despite all the warnings given by the river or by the water, but they have not been able to come and expand it so that it will accommodate what is coming in.
The excesses.
So that what happened really. When Alab Dam broke down, you see how lives were lost. Hundreds of people died. Thousands of houses swept off by this water. Up till now, the impact of that flood is still
being felt,
devastating and being felt in Borno State and beyond. We have it in Kogi State here.
Yeah.
Some years back, I could remember when almost, let me say, 50% or even more of Lokoja was overtaken by water and some other villages nearby. Why is it that we cannot have a proper planning? The main problem of federal government is proper planning, implementation, even if there is the planning. This issue of transparency when it comes to budgeting and the execution of projects about these issues of climate change is something that really we have to look into in as far as Nigeria is concerned. We are not that sincere enough to be able to take these things as it's supposed to be. Coming from the other angle, for example, the issue of farmer herders that my colleague here alluded that
the migration from the north,
herders, yes, they are migrating from the north to the south. You see, the herders, they have one culture. That culture is wherever they are, they cater more about their animals, where they can graze. So, in the north, because we have shorter time of rainfall, 3 months, 4 months, highest. So despite having vast area of land, still the grass used to get dried, and before you know, the large number of animals that are coming not only in Nigeria, they came from Mali, they came from Niger, they came from Burkina Faso, all those neighboring countries, Chad and others.
They'll coming.
They'll be coming to Nigeria.
The grazing routes.
From there, yes. So to the grazing roads, and when they finish grazing the north, their main target is south. So that's why you see them migrating to the south, because there in the south we have a larger period of period of rainy season. So and there we have rainforest there. So they prefer to go there to graze because the animals, especially cows, they eat throughout. It's 24/7. They don't stop eating. Once there is the grass, there is something to eat. They don't rest. That's the nature of cows. You understand? So one thing is, we have to, especially in the north, what I see is from the part of the state governments, they're not doing enough to have a very good intervention when it comes to these grazing reserves in the north. If you go even during the rainy season, you find out the grasses that are there are not the ones that the cows wanted to eat.
They're not nutritious.
They're not nutritious, so they don't eat it.
The water.
Yes, that's why they will sometimes enter people's farms. They will graze on somebody's farm and fight will erupt. Sometimes you see that clashes lead to death. It happens in the north. This is something that has been happening decades over decades.
And we still have happening up till now.
Happening up to now. So the state government, there's a need for them in countries that are developed. What they do for these grazing reserves, Luga settlements or whatever you call it, what they do is every year they used to get the seeds of those nutritious plants, I mean the grasses. So those grazing reserves will be like cultivated. They'll food those seedlings.
But we have such happening in Nigeria?
They don't. That's what we're having. This is the problem we're having.
Despite all the security situation that has come out,
all that, there's no provision
in terms of migration.
In the north.
Year in, year out, we have issues like this.
Yes.
And all the time we have the solution, but unfortunately we don't see them.
We're not. Our state governments are not acting in this aspect as solution providers. That's the problem.
Now,
I've seen the problem, but we don't solve it.
As we begin to round up, because of time, we don't have time. Ismaila, you are the climate and environmentalist. What should be the role of the federal government before the rains come? What advice do you have for the federal government to ensure that we do not have a repetition of what happened, last year in terms of flooding and loss of life?
I think, you see, loss of life and all the flooding happens most in the state. So my focus will be on the state government.
Okay,
the state government needs to take up more responsibility. See, they should be the one to be at the forefront of this, fighting this climate change within their various states, down to the local government. Why I may not say much about the local government, because their allocation, their fund that they could use to maybe to do a mitigation process for all of this is being withheld by the state government. So the state government has a central role. They have a pivotal role in ensuring that the issue of climate change in their various states is being addressed. Take, for example, Kogi State. Year in, year out, there's always a flood in Kogi State. So what is the role of the state government? Knowing that this year again, there will be another flooding, how prepared are they? What is their allocation? What is their budget? When I look at even their budget to the various Ministry of Environment, is nothing to write them about. Most of them, they are only allocating just some basic amount of money just to take care of some welfares about the state ministry. They are not really deliberately injecting money to address the issue of flooding, to address the issue of mitigation, to address the issue of land degradation or agriculture in their states. So that is the main challenge. And for me, the federal government have little role to play in regards to when it has to do with the states. Although they have their own part to release this fund for state, but when these funds are being released, the state government sit on it and they just allow it to happen. Why? Because there is no way. I think it is high time we need to call on the National Assembly to find a way of sanctioning some state governors whenever money is being released to them to address a particular concern, and it is not being addressed, and it is not being done. Especially time. I think some section of the law needs to be amended so that we will be able to address some of this issue.
Okay. Now talking about flooding, we have, as individuals, we have a role to play. Stop pouring dirt into the gutters. Stop pouring dirt into gutters. Usually when it begins to rain, there are people who have piled up dirt. There are people who have piled up dirt waiting for the rains to come. Unfortunately, the moment it begins to rain, they pour this dirt into the gutters.
Yeah. Waterways.
The waterways. The question we're asking, please, Biko, those dirt you pour into the gutters, where do you think it will end? Where do you think those dirt will end? People come in from their houses and pour in, and they block the waterways. They block it up, and that is another reason why we have flooding in our community. Stop pouring dirt, corn cobs, pearl bottles. Stop pouring it into gutters when it rains. Get a bag, put your dirt, and you have a place where they come to pack the dirt and take it to the dumping site. We are the problems to ourselves. We cause the flooding. So we're appealing to Nigerians, please, when it rains, especially when it rains, stop offloading your dirt into the gutters, because it goes somewhere. We do not even have proper drainage system in the first place. We don't have proper drainage system, and the ones that we have, that we're managing, have been there for decades. You clog it with dirt, and you don't expect flooding. It will definitely happen. We don't have much time like we normally do. Based on this, we have just a minute. I'm giving you 30 seconds in our dialect in Hausa. Please talk to our people to stop clogging the gutters.
To, salamu alaikum jama'a. Ina ganin lokaci ya da kamata mu gane wannan abubuwa da suke faruwa na ruwa ya zai cinye gidajen mutane. Abu ne da yake faruwa wani lokacin da mu ne muke yi, ba wai gwamnati ba ce. Domin idan mun zo mun zubar da datti wanda ya rufe hanyar da ruwa za ta wuce, to kun sani ba abin da zai kawo banda flooding da zai cinye gidaje, wannan kuma zai jawo hasarar muhalli da kuma ta'ayiwa ma rayuka. Saboda haka ya kamata mu kiyaye. Nagode.
Nagode sosai. Boss, yeah, over to you. In Yoruba, just 30 seconds. We're rounding up already. We're done.
Tẹ́ bá fẹ́ gba ilẹ̀ ẹ mọ́ dalẹ̀ sí ojú pópó mọ́. Tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ ṣe ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ẹ mọ́ gbọ̀nsẹ̀ sójú pópó mọ́. So ẹ dákun ẹ jọ̀ọ́, tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ẹ kó ilẹ̀ yín jọ, àwọn tí wọ́n máa ń kólẹ̀ wọ́n wà, ẹ gbé ilẹ̀ náà fún wọn, wọ́n mọ bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe tí ò ní fi para lára. Ẹ ṣé gan.
Ẹ ṣé gan. That's our show. We want to appreciate everyone who watched the show. I also want to appreciate my guests for always having my back when I call them. They're there to serve. They serve in Nigeria. They're friends to this big international platform. We appreciate you. Ismaila Babatunde, who is a public affairs analyst, and of course Abdulazeez Idris, who is a social affairs analyst. My name is Anire Binitie. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everyone behind the camera who made it happen. I appreciate you. Make sure you join us tomorrow on The Press. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.